passed away, Rabbi Yochanan had a very difficult time. He really couldn't handle life when his brother-in-law passed away. Why couldn't he handle life? What does that mean? He couldn't handle life? It's a very big statement to say couldn't handle life, because life for Rabbi Yochanan was the learning of Torah. And when Rish Lakish passed away, Rabbi Yochanan, when he would give a class, the new people who were commenting on his class, they were always supporting his opinion. Whatever Rabbi Yochanan said, they said, Rabbi Yochanan, we found a support for your opinion. Like Tanya Kavoteh. Rabbi Yochanan would say another ruling. What would they say? Rabbi Yochanan, we have a support, a proof of your opinion. Like we explained, the rabbis there's something called Amoraim and Tanoim. There's the earlier rabbis and the later rabbis. Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish were the later rabbis. So when the later rabbis would say a ruling, they like to have support from early rabbis. And therefore, the people, the students who took the position, like the number one position, let's say you have different students sitting in the front row, the different students who are the more talkative students, until Rabbi Shlokish was passed away, Rish Lakish was a student that was there and always speaking up. And now that Rabbi Shlokish passed away, other students was talking up. But the difference in the style was Rish Lakish always challenged Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Shlokish would ask questions to the rabbi, questioning the rabbi's opinion. Meaning, Rabbi, you said that's the law? I found somewhere else that it seems differently. You know what Rabbi Yochanan would say? Interesting question, but I'll tell you, different case, Mr. Haber, different law. I'll show you the difference between the case that you brought. I mean, I know I'm saying the halacha. I know this is the law. You challenge me from some other case, I'll be able to show you. But not only I'm able to show you, I myself, the rabbi, am able to figure out the difference. Because if I know this is the law in A, and you're questioning me about B, I'll be able, because of your question, I'll be able to think and figure out what the difference, why the law there is there, and the law here is here. And as a result of that, Rabbi Yochanan, grew as a result of that. But now that everything I say, you say yes, 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 I'm not growing. Now you could say you are growing, you see a support, but I don't feel I need the support to me. I think I really need to see that I need you to question my ruling, so I can be able to understand, learn new things. And the Yochanan really was having difficulty enjoying life. What was enjoying life for Rabbi Yochanan? Enjoying life for Rabbi Yochanan was getting a better understanding of the concepts of the Torah. Like it says, "Mitalmidai yotem mikulam." You gain the most from your students, and therefore he felt these type of students, I'm not gaining so much from. And it's interesting to note that Rabbi David Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Levracha, who was a good friend of Rabbi Zlotowitz, Mr. Haber told me, we know Mr. Haber knows that. Rabbi Zlotowitz from the art school was very close to Rabbi Feinstein. And he said, Rabbi Feinstein said, that's why when it comes to marriage, this is big chizuk in a marriage, he said, the Torah says Hashem said, I want to have an ezeh kenegdo, a partner, a helpmate that's kenegdo. The words are kenegdo mean, opposing. A wife that opposes the husband. That's the literal meaning of the pasuk. The commentaries explain, if you're zocheh, you have a good wife, she'll be a helpmate. And if she's not a good wife, she'll be against you. But that's not the literal meaning of the pasuk. So the literal meaning is that you have a wife that will oppose you. Who wants a wife that will oppose them, keneged you? So he says, yes. What does that mean is when a husband has a certain idea of something, if your wife is every idea you have, she says yes, 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 she's not adding so much to you. But if you say something and she has a different viewpoint, she sees it from a different angle, right? And then you can discuss it and you come up with you have more clarity. You become more, you can become more of a better person, a smarter person as a result of hearing some other opinion. And then that's the idea of Ezeh Kenegdo. How do you like that, Mr. Safdie? Therefore, anybody who has a wife who doesn't always agree with what they say, this is a great chizuk to appreciate it. To see here, okay, you heard another opinion, and now you have two sides. Now come up with an understanding. Think it through, talk it out, and now you'll hopefully, if you're honest, you'll be able to I think it good morning, Mr. Batesh. I presume in the business world, Mr. Haber, I presume it's the same thing. You come to someone in business has an idea, right? You have an idea. You want to hear something. Mr. Haber, am I correct? You want something to say? You want some, what's the issue with the idea? I think it's a great idea, but maybe there is the problem. Maybe there are some holes in the issue, and then you bring up the possible problems. That's the type of worker you want in the office, and then you come to a conclusion. What's the best how to go? Okay, we are on 14b. Good morning, Huda. 14b on 14b article 14b4 on the bottom right. Tanya Kavatei de Reish Lakish. We learned in the Braita like Reish Lakish. Now, what did Reish Lakish say? Reish Lakish says, "B'chol kodesh lo siga." The pasuk of the Torah that says "B'chol kodesh lo siga," he says that is coming to teach you ashara la'ochel. That's a warning that you cannot eat kadashim. You cannot eat holy foods when you are in the state of tumah. Meaning to say, Rabbi Yochanan used this pasuk to teach you truma. He used it for some other teaching. But Reish Lakish said, "B'chol kodesh lo siga" is referring to eating of holy foods in the state of contamination that you're not allowed to eat holy foods. Yaron, you'll send to the group. Thank you very much. You're not allowed to eat holy foods when you're contaminated. We know the Torah tells us the punishment is the punishment of karei, but where is the warning? Where is the source for the warning? Like we said, anytime the Torah gives a punishment, Torah first gives a what? A warning. First tells you you're not allowed to do it. And warning. And Reish Lakish used this pasuk as a source. Now, and the Gemara will explain it. Ashara lo. This pasuk is a warning. Mr. Batesh, you have it? It's a warning of not eating kadashim, holy foods, when you're tameh. So the Gemara says, Ata omer ashara lo. You're telling me it's a warning regarding eating kadashim when you are in the state of tumah. Maybe it's a warning not to touch the holy foods, the sacrificial foods, when you are contaminated. Maybe that's what it's referring to, because that sounds like the literal meaning of the pasuk. B'chol kodesh lo siga. Don't touch. Don't touch. So it sounds like maybe it's a source for a prohibition on not touching sacrificial food when you're contaminated. How do we know that it's a prohibition? Where do we see from this verse that it's prohibiting eating sacrificed foods when you're contaminated? So the Gemara says because of the juxtaposition of the connecting of the context of the verse. Talmud Loma, the pasuk says, "B'chol kodesh lo siga." You're not allowed to. B'chol kodesh lo siga, ve'elan mikdash lo savo. And it compares it to the prohibition of not coming into the mikdash when you are contaminated. Makkos, Kodesh, Mikdash. The Torah is comparing Kodesh, the prohibition of involvement in Kadashim, in holy foods, to the prohibition of coming into the Mikdash when a person is Tameh. Ma Mikdash, just like going into the Mikdash when someone's contaminated is a type of situation of a dova sheyesh bo netilat neshama. The case of Mikdash is something where there is the removal of the soul That means karet, he's cut off. He cut off from this world, and he's cut off from the next world. He dies young. He dies premature. Many say before 60. And he loses the next world. So af kol davar sheyesh bo netil neshama. So too, the other item that's mentioned right next door, its neighbor, is also something that carries, is talking about a similar punishment, which is karet, And the e b'negiyah, and if it's talking about negiyah, if it's talking about just touching the sacrifice foods, mi'ika netilat neshama, ela b'achila, is there the taking of the soul? It's only b'achila. The only time is karet, the only time is be cutting off is only if he actually eats the sacrifice foods when he's in the state of tumah. Therefore, it has to be talking about a case of karet, because it's next to a case of karet, and a case of karet is only by eating the food that when you are contaminated. So that's the support for Reish Lakish. Yes.
Bless you. Ah.
Right.
What?
And then
I can't hear you. Come over here. I really have difficulty talking my back.
By the way, they're connected to each other. You could connect the two things.
In set up
Doesn't
for
matter. The
1 hour.
order won't make a difference. Yes. The halacha could still follow Rabbi Yochanan. One second. The halacha follows. It's interesting that the halacha follows Rabbi Yochanan regarding the lashes. We brought the case of if a person, someone who was tamei, someone was contaminated, and he ate meat before the sprinkling of the blood. There, the law follows Rabbi Yochanan doesn't get lashes. But here, the question is a source. What is the source for the prohibition? So the source. It's not a question in halacha. It's not a question in halacha of. This is a question. What is the source for the prohibition? Now there are ramifications. It's a good point. We could see there. We could try to think what the ramifications are, and would that be a contradiction to the law of? But at this actual limud, this teaching tells us that this only tells us a source for the prohibition of eating kadashim when you're in the state of tumah. Now, Rabbi Yochanan has his source. His source was tumato, and therefore, as a result of his source, I mean, it would come out. It should not. The halacha follows Rabbi Yochanan, based on his source, you will not get lashes if you ate from it before the sprinkling of the blood. Based on his source. If the sprinkling of blood, he would get lashes. But before the sprinkling of blood, he would not get lashes. There's no karet. There's no karet for eating before the sprinkling of the blood. If he was contaminated and he ate it when he ate it after sprinkling of blood, he would get karet, and therefore there would be lashes. The question is, does a person? No, karet lashes means that if you could give him, then if the court gives him lashes, he could get off from the karet. Right. But he's subject. Let's say if the court doesn't give him lashes, he gets the karet. Today, there's no lashes from the court. Person goes in and does that sin. Person goes to the Temple Mount today. These areas that there's concern that maybe he's entering the wrong spot while he's contaminated. He's subject to karet. That's why the rabbis are very, very upset. People going to the Temple Mount. They have the Dome of the Rock. These areas that maybe they're entering an area that's considered the Mikdash area, the courtyard of the Mikdash. And if you're tamei and you go there, a person's contaminated and goes to a certain spot that he's not allowed to, even today, he's subject to karet. He's subject to being cut off from the next world. There's no lashes. Because it's based on his source. The Gemara says, no, but he brings the source because it says bechol. The Gemara says bechol kodesh. He understands the extra word bechol. Any kodesh you shouldn't. It's both before the sprinkling and after the sprinkling. Yes.
Are we then touching it?
So Rish Lakish would say that touching it also, when you're tamei, there will be lashes. Rish Lakish would say, but there won't be kareh. Okay. So now the Gemara says the following. Amar, by the way, at the end of this day, Rish Lakish uses this pasuk of b'chol kodesh l'siga. The Torah is teaching you it's talking about not eating. It's telling you the prohibition of eating, and yet the Torah uses the word "don't touch" to tell, and it's referring to "don't eat." And obviously, like we spoke about a few days ago, perhaps the Torah uses that word to give you that fence, so to speak. I'm telling you, I'm referring to "don't eat." I'm telling you the prohibition "don't eat" through using a language of "don't touch." So you should understand by not touching, you're going to prevent yourself from what? Not eating. Even though the not touching might also tell us another law. You can't touch it. But regarding the prohibition, remember Rish Lakish says there's two things we learn from this pasuk. You can't eat it when you're contaminated, and you can't touch it when you're contaminated. But the prohibition of not eating it when you're contaminated is coming through the use of the word "don't touch it." It says "don't touch," and we say it refers to also means "don't eat." Why does the Torah write it that way? So we said to tell us that's the way you'll have offense. By not touching it, you won't eat it. Like I say, if you want to do well on a diet, don't bring the cake in the house. You bring the cake in the house, then it's over. Then you might eat it. If you don't bring cake in the house. If you don't want to eat cake, don't bring in the house. You bring in the house, then already you're subjecting yourself to the possibility of eating the cake. So don't touch, because that's the way that will protect you from not eating it. Okay. Amar Rabba bar Yochanan, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. And really, that's the story with Chava, right? What was the story of Adam and Chava? What did Chava say, Yehuda? She said that what? What? But what's what he said about? But they added on something the Torah didn't say. Torah says don't eat. What did Hashem say? Don't touch. He said don't touch. Why did she say don't touch? She wanted to create that fence. That was was a fence of some sort. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan. Now we're in a new sugya, everybody. Mabruk, Mazel Tov. It's a little connected, but it's not. It's a total different focus. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan. Kol lo saseh shekodmu aseh. Any lo saseh, where the Torah says don't do. Mr. Haber, you got it? The Torah says don't do something. But the Torah goes ahead and says, besides it saying don't do it, the Torah first gave you something that you need to do. Let's try to explain what's going on. We'll give a little introduction. None of you. Good morning, Adam. Adam, you're coming in at a perfect spot. We're starting a new point right now. What TV? I mean, were you waiting at the door just to figure out the spot to come in? To that. So the Gemara, there is a law. The Torah says you're not allowed to go ahead and do certain things. We have 207 times in the Torah that we have. There's 207 cases in the Torah that a person is subject to lash. The Torah says 360. Good morning, Mr. Ajmi.
Good morning, Rabbi.
Good morning. Good to see you. There are 365 lo saseh in the Torah. 365 don'ts in the Torah. There's 207 of those 365. Sounds like we're doing with the members of the Congress. How many? One of them who's winning? The Republicans and the Democrats. There are 207 of the 365 are subject to lashes. Okay, 207. That's a big number, right? 207. What's the number of the House of Representatives? Right? It's 208. What's going on? So there's 207 that are subject to lashes. But then now, some of the ones that are not subject to lashes. Good morning, Simon. Good morning, Ariel. Some of the ones that are not subject to lashes are because the Torah follows with a positive commandment what you need to do if you violate the thing that you were not supposed to do. Let's explain. The Torah says, don't steal, okay? And then the Torah tells you if you steal, return it. Torah says, don't leave over the korban, the offering to the morning. Torah says, if you leave over the offering to the morning, I want you to burn it. So that's called alav hanitak. The prohibition is removed through an assay. Torah tells you what you need to do. That's, so to speak, fixed.
That's the cure period.
That's the cure, exactly. That's the cure period, as Mr. Ashby says, or we'll call it another word. It's the fix, it's the tikkun. That is the tikkun. That's what you need to do. That is, so to speak, we'll call it the punishment for the violation. What's the violation? Like a guy comes to a store, the inspectors give a violation, and they say you have a certain amount of time to fix the violation, and they come back and they check, right, Simon? They come back, they check. The health department comes back and they say, did you fix the violation or not? If you didn't fix the violation, maybe then they'll give you a fine, monetary fine. Okay, but so the Torah gave us a fix. So when the Torah gives us a fix, a cure, then that is the punishment. Nothing else. You don't need to give the guy lashes for this violation. There's some other means of punishment, of a fixing, of curing. What is that? Whatever the Torah tells you, you need to do if you did that violation. So that's called, anytime the Torah gives a prohibition and it tells you what you need to do if you violated the prohibition, that's called alav hanitak la'aseh, and there's no lashes on that prohibition. Okay, therefore, if a guy steals, he violated the Torah, but there's no lashes for stealing. A guy eats not kosher, there's no fix. The Torah to give you a fix for what you do if you're not kosher. Of course, there's a mitzvah of tshuva. There's no specific fix that the Torah gave if you violated you ate not kosher. There's no way to fix it. So therefore, there it is lashes. But if a guy goes ahead and steals, what is the punishment, so to speak? What is the fixing? Returning it. And therefore, there's no lashes. Now, that's true when the positive thing that you need to do is in response to what you did wrong. So therefore, that positive act that the Torah is instructing you to do is considered, it's coming specifically to remove the lav, what you did wrong. So therefore, it's coming as a fix. That's coming as a fix. But what about if the assay, if the positive commandment is not coming only, it's not only you only use it as a fix, it's coming independent of any prohibition. Let's say there's a mitzvah, Torah gives you a mitzvah to do a certain thing without even violating anything. Torah says, I want you to do this. And it has nothing to do with a violation. You could fulfill this mitzvah. You can't fulfill the mitzvah of returning a stolen object unless there's a violation of the prohibition. So that's clear that mitzvah of returning is a fix on the violation. But when the mitzvah, what you need to do, the assay, is independent of the violation, it comes without even violating anything, there is this commandment to do something. So therefore, that commandment, which we call the assay, what you need to do, is not coming as a fix. It's independent. It's coming as what you need to do in life. So therefore, even in a circumstance when that mitzvah that you need to do will also serve as a fix, but the fact that it comes independent of a fix means that it's not coming as a fix. We don't look at it like a fix, and therefore, if you violated this prohibition, that the assay, that the positive thing that you need to do comes independent of the fix, so then you will not have this leniency that you're off the hook and you don't get lashes. That is
such as what? Give us
the
one.
Gemara, we're going to wait for the Gemara. The Gemara is going to give a case. Let's say the Gemara is going to give a case. 1 second. The Gemara is going to use a case. Let's say if a person's in the in the Mikdash. If a person discovers himself in, or what will be, I'll give it, let's give the case that's easy to understand, and other cases it's going to be more complicated. There is a mitzvah in the Torah that if someone rapes a woman, Rahman al-Litzlan, you'll hold on for 1 minute. Someone rapes a woman, terrible, terrible tragedy. The Torah says he has a mitzvah to marry her. He has a mitzvah to marry her. Oh, very good. Now,
like Dina, right?
I mean, Dina was violated by Shem. That's a guy. But if a Jew, good morning, Mr. If a Jew rapes
Yeah, but
another
it was
Jewish,
the same idea that they said, like, okay, you marry her, you know.
you mean, very good on their end, very good on the end of Shem. That's what they were thinking. The people of Shem were thinking they're going to marry. But there is this mitzvah, and only someone raped a woman, a Jewish woman. A Jew raped a Jewish woman, and if she consents, if she wants, if she agrees, if she says no, it's no. But if she says, I want to marry this guy that raped me, he has to marry her. Now, the Sefer Chinuch, I think, says, what is one of the reasons for this mitzvah? We could suggest a person knows if he rapes a woman, he's going to go ahead and be stuck with her for the rest of his life. He's going to have to support her financially, food for the rest of his life, clothing for the rest of his life, and other things for the rest of his life. That hopefully will serve as a deterrent that he will control himself. No, she was a single woman. She wasn't married. If she was a married woman, things are different. Engaged over there doesn't mean, engaged also means married. She got a ring, a marriage ring. Today engagement is not the first Arison, yeah. What we call today engagement is not Arison. It's not Arison. They're not married. Someone chas v'shalom breaks an engagement today, they don't require a bill of divorce, kosher bill of divorce. In those days, that Arison was, they're married, and they would have to have a right. Now, but then the laws are different. We're gonna, maybe tomorrow we'll talk more. It's another sugya what to do over there. That's called very good. If a guy seduced a woman, it's also laws about that. But regarding. So therefore, hopefully that will serve as a deterrent. So to address your question. Right, exactly. Right. So what happened? The Torah says there's a mitzvah to marry this woman. And as Yehuda said, the Torah then says he cannot divorce her. He's going to be stuck forever. He cannot divorce her. Now, what happens when he's not allowed to divorce her? She can't, a husband has to give her the divorce. We have to see if she would want a divorce. Would it be allowed? Then I'm not sure. We'd have to check that out. A lady can never divorce a man. The only way the man has to give the bill of divorce. Now, sometimes the Jewish court could demand of the husband that you need to divorce your wife. And in the times of the Gemara, they even force the husband, and until he would say, yes, I want to divorce my wife. But okay, now let's get back to, now regarding this mitzvah, the Torah says don't divorce her. Now what happened if he divorces her? What happened? The husband who raped this woman married her. He did the first thing he did right in his life was he married her, but then he did a sin by divorcing her. Okay, now if he's a Yisrael, not a Kohen, because a Kohen is not allowed to marry a divorcee. A Kohen cannot even marry his own divorcee. If a Kohen divorces his wife, it's over. A Yisrael divorces his wife, it's possible to remarry her as long as she doesn't marry someone else. Okay, everybody with me? So now, if he went ahead and he divorced her, he has a mitzvah now to remarry her. So Mr. Ajmi, here's the case. He divorced her, he married her, divorced her, and now he needs to remarry her. Remarry her if she wants, correct. So now, there is a mitzvah, now he has a mitzvah to, on the one hand, to fix up what he did wrong by divorcing her. But this mitzvah, this fix of marrying her after he divorced her applied even before he divorced her. This meaning to say, before he ever divorced her, he had a mitzvah to marry her. The moment he raped this woman, he has a mitzvah to marry, like most women would have to marry this guy. To marry her and to remain married to her. Right. He had the mitzvah of, then he won't be, then he cannot remarry. No. He cannot marry the same way you can't remarry her if she got married to someone else, right? If she got married to another man with that, I would not create her not to. She married another man to my unless again it could be we have to see the halacha. Okay, that we have to see the halacha because the pasuk says when she marries someone else, but would it apply if she didn't marry the other person? That I don't know. Meaning that's true, Mr. Adji. That's the thing that's true about that is while a person's married, that we know. If a lady is married and she goes with another man, it's over. The marriage is over. She's never married again. She wants to apologize from today to tomorrow. There's nothing to talk about. It's over. It's over. It's over. It's over. Now,
what about if a man violate with a divorced woman? Is he obligated to marry her now? A woman was divorced, and he was. You want
to know if he raped her? You mean what's the case?
Yeah,
what's
like
the case?
She was divorced.
We have to see the laws of how who does it apply to? Good question, Yosef. But going back, listen to this case. So the mitzvah say, the positive commandment of marrying this woman that he raped, kicked in, independent of divorcing her. Before he married her, he has a mitzvah. Before he divorced her, he first had a mitzvah to marry her. So when the Torah says to marry her, has two applications. Could it be applied in two situations? One, he has a mitzvah to marry her right after the rape. He has a mitzvah to marry. And then, if he went ahead and he divorced that woman that he married, and then he divorced her, he now has a mitzvah to also to marry. Correct? Is that true or not? Again, right. This mitzvah of marriage. He divorced her. He married. What do you mean? But that's what he needs to do. Once he divorced her, he still. Right, he should. He was not allowed to. No, he was not allowed. He was not allowed. But what about he wasn't a good boy? He wasn't a good boy the first time he raped this woman, and he wasn't a good boy the second time. He went ahead and what did he do? He divorced her. So now he did. It was kosher. Sometimes you could do so. Sometimes it was a divorce, Mr. Ajmi, Mr. Ajmi, it's a divorce, Mr. Haber, it's a divorce in sin. It's called a divorce that was in sin. Just like there's something called a marriage in sin. What's a marriage in sin? Someone marries, if a Kohen marries a divorcee, they're married. But then it's not that they're not married, she's a married woman. It sticks, it's chal. The marriage sticks. It's called a chal. But it's a marriage that sticks. What do you say? The divorce sticks. But now he has to. She's a divorced woman, exactly. Again, exactly. That meaning the mitzvah of marriage, because the Torah says he should be married to her forever. He's supposed to, like Yariel said before, he has to be married to her forever. That's what the Torah says. You rape this woman, someone raped this woman, you're married to her forever. Exactly. He was a Russian when he raped her, and he's a Russian when he was to marry her. Oh, that's the question. So now that's the question. What happens? Now, what? To follow a law, meaning the cure. We're talking focus on the violation of the divorce, right? Exactly, it's tied to the rape. So this mitzvah, but it's tied to both. It applies both before the divorce and applies after the divorce. So the Torah says, don't divorce this woman. This woman that you raped and you married, don't divorce her. But now the Torah also gave a mitzvah to marry this woman. Now, is this mitzvah to marry this woman, when you have to marry this woman, since it was given independent of the divorce, of the violation of divorce, so therefore it's not given specifically as a fix of the violation of the divorce, because it has application without the violation of the divorce. And since it's not given, what do you say, Mr. Mitesh? Right, yes. And since this mitzvah remarried to her is given independent of the divorce, so therefore that's not called that it came as a fix of the divorce. It came independent of the divorce. So therefore, if it came to the world, this mitzvah, this obligation of marrying her came independent of the violation, therefore it's not considered a fix of the violation. The only thing, this is what this opinion holds. The only thing that's called a fix of a violation, and therefore would remove the obligation of lashes, is only when this is coming specifically as a fix for the violation. It might not have to be next to each other, as long as you know this is the fix. It's coming as the fix. Most of the time, but most of the time the fixes are right next to each other. But if you can figure out, again, yeah. Say it again.
This was marrying a person, she has an affair.
I presume that that's a good question, because you have laws of asay and lo sasay. If Mr. Batesh wants to know, he has the mitzvah of marrying her, right? And what happens if while he's married to her, she has an affair? So now she becomes forbidden to him because of that affair. So now I don't know that this mitzvah that he has to be with her would supersede that. The same way that if he divorces her and he's a Kohen, he does not have a mitzvah. We don't say that the mitzvah of being with her would kick in to over. But that's another good question, Mr. Tesh. What would be in such a case? People do sin. Right? In the marriage, it's still a marriage. Still a marriage. Right. So, but here the question, Dr. Navid, is if he divorced this woman, this is the question. If he divorced this woman, does he get off the hook of lashes? Because this case of the Torah has a fix. But since this fix is independent of the violation, so that's what Rabbi Yochanan says. If a fix stands on its own feet, this mitzvah without the violation, that's not called a violation that's given with a fix, and therefore would be subject to lashes. Now with that introduction, let's read it inside the Gemara, and maybe we'll see a beautiful Rashi here. Look at the Rabbi Amar. You have the last line of the page on 14b. Amar Rabba. What do you say? We know about the woman. We have to see. I'm not sure if the woman has to agree. We have to see about the father or not. But right, she's her own. But we have to also look at these laws exactly. At what age does this laws apply? That's going to be. We have to see. The laws exactly at which age does these laws apply. Lo sase, any lo sase. Everyone wants to look at the bottom line on 14b. 5 was probably, or 5. The bottom one, the last paragraph. Kol lo saseh shekodmo aseh, any lo saseh, anything the Torah says don't do, which was preceded. Because shekodmo aseh, that the fix, the aseh, what you need to do preceded it, look in Allah. There will be lashes in such a circumstance. Let's look at the Rashi. The last Rashi on the page. It's about 5 lines from the bottom, at the end of the line. Everyone, Adam, you want to see the Rashi? Right over here. Everyone see the Rashi? Kolo saseh. I'm showing everybody, this is where the Rashi is. Kolo saseh, shekodmo aseh loken alav. Ha astel ashminan. This is coming to teach us. That even the opinion that lav hanitzak say that when you have a prohibition which is followed by a fix, ein loken alav, there's no lashes. Kedetanya, like we have the classic case in the Braita. Lo totiru, don't leave over to the morning the offering. Certain offerings you can't leave over, whatever the case is that you can't, you have a certain time, you can't, Torah says you have to eat it, let's say that day and that night. Don't leave it over to the morning. But the Torah says the fix. And what you left over to the morning, tisrofu, you burn it. Makkos, the Torah is telling you what you need to do if you made a violation. Loma, she'ein loken alav. The Torah is telling you don't give lashes for leaving over to the morning. Because the Torah removed the prohibition with the Leo's own shel shalav. The thing that you need to do is the punishment of the violation. The tikkun, no, that's the tikkun. As Mr. Andrews said, that's the cure. Loma, lo sasekach. Don't do this. Don't leave it over to the morning. Don't steal. But if you did it, if you violated it, this is what I want from you. I say zos. Do this, then you'll be exempt. Bashmina Rabbi Yochanan teaches us, Hani Mile, that's only Aseh Balachalaf. That's only a positive commandment that comes following the violation. You cannot fulfill this positive commandment only if you violated the violation of Aseh. But something the Torah tells you need to do, that preceded the violation. You can fulfill this mitzvah independent, without violation. That's not going to remove the violation. Even if you fulfill it, after the violation, like he married her after he divorced her, she's not exempt from the lashes because the obligation of marriage came not just as a fix, it came independent, and therefore that's the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. And once he divorces her, he's going to get lashes. Exactly. We're going to give the guy lashes if he divorced her. We're not going to say, oh, but he's going to say, Rabbi, what do you mean? I'm going to remarry her. I'm going to fix it by marriage. That's not enough. That's not what the Torah wants from the guy. The Torah wants the guy to get lashes. No, we're not talking about raping. We're not talking about lashes for that violation. He has to pay. He has to pay money for violating her. No, Rashi is saying that even if he divorces her and remarries her, he's going to still be subject to lashes. Second time. Rabbi Chananah ben Akasha Omer Rasta Kodesh Baruch Hu Sakati. What thing? Because the mitzvah preceded the violation. Exactly. At that point, before he married her, there was already a mitzvah to marry her, and it came not as a fix. It came not as a fix of the divorce. It came independent of the divorce.
So when he received the first time
but I don't think he gets for the rape. He has to pay money. Not less. No less. Chananah ben Akasha Omer Rasa Kodesh Baruch Hu Nakas Yisrael. Think of Hebrew Torah mitzvah Shenema Adonecha Face the Master Koyah Dil Torah V'Yadir. Amen. 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 Yehi Shmer Amavarach L'Be'er B'Yah. Amen. Thank you. Have a great day, everybody. Go to the towns. Yeah, great. 3:30. Thank you so much.
So we have the house, it's Nevada and Georgia. It's still too close to Florida.
Yes.
Have a good day, Rabbi.